and welcome back to the IPF World Championships here live in Lithuania. I am Ryan Six-Pack Lapadat, accompanied in the booth with Chris Andrews. And Chris, we have the 69 kilo Group B class. Of course, later on tonight, the 69 kilo queen, Leah Bavois, defends her title against arch rival Carola Gara, who's the 63 kilo world champion, moving up for that battle. And a very deep class of contenders vying for a podium spot in the possibility of qualifying for the World Games. But today, this is an indication of just how deep the 69 kilo class is, because this Group B, Chris, it's absolutely stacked. And thank you for joining me here. How have you liked the World Championships thus far?
Look, it's been an amazing start. The 83s battle, the 66 battle has been amazing. And like you said tonight, the 69 battle will be an absolute show. So can't wait to see it.
Yeah, the energy has been electric here. They legitimately had to extend the stands. And were you in the stands during the last few battles?
I was in the stands for the 83s particularly, and I mean when that crowd went silent, like goosebumps, my man.
Moments that we'll never forget, and possibly some more moments rest ahead. Manisha of Singapore, 110 kilos, awaits her opening squat. Manisha, competing 2 years, has previously hit 120 kilos, 10 kilos below that. In Singapore, Chris, a bit of a travel, and you're coming from Australia. What kind of a travel is this? How does this impact yourself and the athletes that you've come with?
Yeah, I mean, it's into that sort of 30-hour bracket, so definitely a challenge.
Now looks good, 3 white lights.
I think, Singapore, quite a long leg there in the middle of the flight from probably Singapore into Germany or somewhere into Europe, 13 odd hours. So definitely takes it out of you sitting still for that long. And, we often see lifters hold a lot of water as well during those flights. So that can be a challenge from a weight perspective when you land.
All types of variables, especially when you're weight cutting. Another variable is a short flight, and this is a short flight here. Only 7 lifters to turn around. You're going to hope the lifters and the national teams adjust. Liang from Hong Kong, 115 for her opening squat. Liang has been competing 4 years. Makes easy work of that 115. When you see something like that, do you suppose 5 kilos, 10 kilos? What are you thinking?
Yeah, look, a little bit of a sticking point there on the way up, but first squat always very nervous. So I think comfortable 5 to 7.5 jump.
Asia, Bulgaria, 127.5. She's actually the partner of Emil Krastev, who later on today is amongst the top end contenders vying for a podium spot, and definitely the title as well in the 93 kilo class. Do not want to miss that, but she's a great lifter herself, and 127.5 below her previous personal best. This should fly. Pretty well done. Now, how about these short flights? 7 people is going to feel like you're just working out at the gym together. That's so short.
Yeah, I mean, particularly with these fast spotters and loaders as well. I mean, as you see here, previous lifter barely off the platform before the bars loaders call is given. So, yeah, it's a quick turnaround.
Paris of Qatar, 130 kilos. She's previously hit 137.5. When Nikki and Team Qatar are on the board.
Great to see Qatar represented at the World Championships this year. Quite a new nation to join us.
Yeah, there's been a few new nations over the past couple of years. Malta, certain regions are definitely expanding. And it's good to see. 132.5 for Quiros of Chile. Another long flight coming from the Western Hemisphere, several time zones. She's hit more than this in the past. Let's see how this moves. She's on the board, and with only 7, oh, spoke too soon. Let's take a look at this. It's a depth call, 2-1. Now, that's the side that actually gave her a white light.
Yeah.
It actually did look good on that side, but not everyone's hips rest parallel. Schwartz, South Africa, 135 for Astrid. She's previously hit 150 kilos. Nicely done. South Africa, of course, hosting the IPF World Championships just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and we'll be back there later this year for Masters and for Commonwealths as well. So
you see some of these nations repeat hosts, but when it's no small task to host the World Championship. So when you prove yourself, more likely to get it again. And Jimbo, 150 kilos representing Japan. 5 kilos below her personal best. But she's been competing 2 years, and sometimes the gains come a little bit quicker when you're first in the game.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow. What do you think?
It's a super dynamic squat there from Jimbo. Likes the fast acceleration into the hole and uses that momentum to drive out. So she's got plenty left in the tank here to jump.
It's with those upright squatters, very quick in the hole. Sometimes can be difficult to tell because the brakes come on quick. You can't really grind from that position. But you're right. I'd be comfortable loading the bar for her. And 117.5 now. Chris, what do you think about this? It's a quick turnaround, 7.5 kilo jump. Should be interesting to see how they get impacted.
Yeah, I think this should be okay for her. But like you said, if you're a person who trains at sort of 10 to 15 minute intervals in the gym, coming to Worlds, a lot of pressure, foods are different, time zones, you've got a lot working against you. But let's see how she goes here.
Well, okay, nice and smooth.
Yeah, it looked very similar to her opener. So might see another sort of 5 kilo jump for her third.
I'd be comfortable with that. And you're 100% right. You touched on how cutting is when traveling, and even Austin Perkins, who's done this before. He's at the World Cup for University Games, and he said himself he was a kilo below, and he thinks the travel impacted his body weight. It's a variable. Yim Chi Liang of Hong Kong, 122.5. Getting a little close to that PR of 125 coming in. A good lift.
Yeah, nice and controlled squat there. Nice and smooth into the bottom, drives out of the hole well.
Yeah, that's bang, up and down, doesn't get bullied by the weight now. Quiros, repeating this weight, how often do you like to see a lifter miss on the opener and go up? Are there situations that you would say that's okay?
I think so, particularly, it depends why you're here, right? And if you're battling for podium potentially, things like that, absolutely we might see a lifter go up. But at the same time, it could be your first World Championships. You need to be on the board to be even in the game, right? So it's always a risk.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think in the Group B, probably good just to get your experience in, not get too rattled. And sometimes people miss the opening lift on a technicality, so they say, well, that was technical. I can go up and wait. You miss the second one on strength, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that a few times already this week where unfortunately a number of lifters have jumped and then the strength hasn't been there. So it's definitely a big risk. But again, it comes down to what is the game plan and what are you here to try and do. If it's to beat your PB, then get on the board. If it's to push for first place, maybe you have to jump. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Chekarova of Bulgaria, 135, equaling your previous personal best. Nine-year veteran of the game, plenty of international competition behind her, and adapting well to the travel, the quick flights, and a good second attempt. A little bit more of a bold move here, 10 kilos, Chris. What do you think?
Yeah, look, her opener absolutely flew. I think it might have been they might have went pretty light with that just to get the nerves out of the system, get one on the board. So let's see how she handles 140 here.
Waniki, 10 kilo jump. Oh, goodness. And here's the thing, I think you're absolutely right. Some people, you see a big jump, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bold move. It might be what you'd expect from a second. They just happen to have lowered the opener. However, sometimes it is a bold move, or other intangibles coming from Qatar.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just see a hip shoot back there a little bit, and it gets really hard to grind from that position. So she might be able to re-cue it on the next one.
Another 10 kilo jump. Let's see how it favors Astrid Schwartz of South Africa. And again, this is probably a little bit quicker of a turnaround than they were expecting. You show up at the World Championships, you might have a battle plan in place, but did you account for there only be 7 of you in your flight? And did you adjust once you found that out? What do you think there, Chris? How many more kilos would you put on for her?
Look, it slows, but again, the squat's such an individual lift that it's always hard to tell without knowing these lifters. Is that, are all their squats looking similar sort of pace? So, I think considering that was a 10 kilo jump, I think a 5, 7.5 would be probably safe. But let's see.
And if you like big jumps, Rina Jimbo of Japan, 15 kilo jump, 150 to 165. Now 150, we've thought it flew. However, with her squats down, like you had indicated, sometimes you can grind, sometimes you can't. It's hard to tell. Didn't appear as though she'd be in a position to grind, but she might not have to.
Yeah, it's just one of those things with that really dynamic squat. It's quite easy to get pushed out of position in the bottom of the hole, and so if you can control that, it can be very effective.
Little sticking point, but she's good. And I think Team Japan chose the option of lowering that opener, not taking any chances.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there might not be another 15 kilo jump there for a third, but definitely she's got a little bit of room still to move. Little sticking point close to the top. It's able to push through really nicely.
125 now for Manisha, representing Singapore, and Singapore are well represented at this World Championships, of course. Farhana in the 52s, breaking the world record.
Yeah, another nation that's really, grown over the last few years and is starting to really push up into that medal tally. And over the next, I think, couple of years, you'll start to see them really starting to place on the podium regularly.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I was hesitant. Look, the bar moved relatively well. Take a look at this replay in terms of the squat depth. It was right on the line. I mean, it's arguable, but sometimes you got to be undeniable.
Yeah, you got to be undeniable, Ryan. That's especially at Worlds, you can't blame the refereeing. These are the best referees in the world, and you've just got to play it on the day.
Especially when you're on the platform. Some of these squats are relatively quick, and we have slow-mo replay in here, so we're undefeated with our reviews. Well, when you're on the platform, you got 1 second to make your choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yim Chi Liang of Hong Kong, 127.5, 5 kilo jump from her, 2.5 kilo personal best. Oh, another squat depth call. And she's kind of a bit stiff-legged walking off the platform now. We didn't see the depth there. What did you think when you saw it live?
Look, I think she probably sort of slowed that rep down on the descent a little bit more than she did on her previous one. She's a very controlled lifter, but that one she took it quite slow into the bottom, and that can often make that weight feel a lot heavier on the back, and maybe she's just cut it a little bit shy.
Some lifters, when it feels heavy on their back for the thirds, they get a little hesitant. Looking to rebound from missing 140. Waniki once again 140 for her third. Oh. Beautiful catch by the spotters. And she's going to want to stay with that bar.
Yeah.
You got to re-rack it all the way and don't let the spotters just take the weight off of you. Take a look at this. Nice catch, and you'll see the spotter look at her. Excuse me, young lady, please stay with the bar next time. Shakarova with 140 representing Bulgaria. 7.5 kilo jump to her second, 5 kilo jump from there. 5 kilo personal best should she hit this. Little scrappy, but she gets it.
2-to-1 good lift. She has this little sticking point right in the bottom of the hole where she almost pauses for a fraction of a second. But
yeah.
well.
Able to scrap through it. I think a veteran like this, adapting, calling audibles on the gameplay here. In 142.5, this is a decent 10 kilo jump. However, she retook her opening weight, so perhaps this is where she always wanted to be with what would have been more conservative 5 kilo jumps. She has squatted 140 before. This is a personal best.
Yeah, it's a bold move. Try and patch up some of those kilos you potentially have left behind. But again, if that's not the jumps that you're used to potentially training with in the gym, if you only take 5 kilo jumps in the gym, a 10 kilo jump can feel absolutely massive. And so, unfortunately, not there today. But it's the game we play.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. Maybe 142 was always their projected third, but surely a 10 kilo jump wasn't, and it makes a difference. The jump.
Yeah.
Not always just the weight, but when you're ready for it. 152.5 for Astrid of South Africa. Oh, nice catch. Chris, do you think the conditioning factor with this quick turnaround is starting to reveal itself? Only 1 out of the 6 has hit so far in the third round of squats.
Oh, look, I think that's absolutely a factor, Ryan. Given we had quite a high percentage of people make their first and seconds, but definitely when you're getting up that top end, this 5 minute turnaround is very, very quick. Particularly after cutting, right? If these girls are recomping, they're trying to get the water in, the food in, that turnaround is just amplified.
Going to be interesting to see if they change up for the bench press. Now they will have the benefit of another flight coming after them, so there'll be a break at that point. And 170 for Jimbo of Japan. 2 years in the game, this will be a 5 kilo personal best.
I think this is a safe move. Definitely slowed on her second.
Oh, just on the money.
Yeah, perfect weight selection there. Does really well to stick with it. Very upright squatting position, almost Olympic style, but does well to keep that chest high. drives through.
Yeah, perfect attempt selection and guidance from Team Japan, as with no break, we shift directly into the second flight. We have more lifters in this one. 9 lifters to be exact. Still not a big flight, but 2 more lifters offers a little bit more recuperation in between squat attempts. And 135 awaits Jessica from Singapore. Singapore, 269 kilo lifters in this Group B. You think could be nerves? Think could be things impacted her more than she thought?
Yeah, let's see how she goes with the second. It could just be the way that she squats, but yeah, I think technically it looks pretty good. Just a little sticking point there in the middle.
And you see it every now and then. You take a conservative jump if she has to. Laura will open with 135 representing Switzerland.
Yeah, again, just depending on the recomp and if she's had to cut weight, things like that. Sometimes the legs just aren't there when you get out on the platform, and in those, particularly on squat number 1, it can be quite difficult. Maybe you gain a bit more back in the legs by squat 2 and 3.
And that's probably what we'd anticipate for an opener.
Yeah, it does well. Very long femurs, and so she has to lean quite a way forward to make sure she can hit depth, but does really well stay in position.
Kiera Collins, 142.5, representing Belgium. Weighed in a little light for a 69 kilo lifter, 67.8. Maybe didn't have to cut it all and was able to eat into it. That's an advantage. Something a couple of the favorites later on today in Leah Bavois and Carola Gara, both of them also not cutting weight this time around.
Yeah, and I think, Ryan, it's an interesting play. We've seen over the last few years a lot of lifters heavily cutting to make weight classes, and I think it's really refreshing to see people like Leah and Carola just sitting where they naturally want to sit in terms of body weight and just being as strong as they can be. And I think that's really refreshing, particularly for younger lifters, to see that.
Yeah, I think if you're in Group B, if possible, not cutting is a great option. Just take out that intangible, get your experience. And as you climb up the ranks, if you're vying for podium spots, World Games, etc., all right, have that conversation. 155 for Samantha Gray of Australia. You familiar with Samantha?
Yeah, she goes by Ebony. So Ebony.
Okay, Ebony.
Yeah, Ebony. So look, Ebony's just come up from juniors, and it was an unexpected. She had an absolutely killer day at Nationals earlier in the year and put up a massive total. And so exciting to see her on the platform for the first time at Worlds. Definitely one to watch, Ryan.
$157.5, Belgium. A 1-2 here in the Group B of the 69 kilo class. Hello. Came up in parts. Let's see what the judges say. Oh, unfortunately not. And with 3 reds, they will not be able to go to the jury to contest that. Let's take a look. So 2 said depth, 1 said a down up. What are your impressions? It looked like depth from that angle, but...
Yeah, I think when I watched it live from the front, I thought depth, and then it kind of hit that sticking point and the bar did sort of drop a little bit, so yeah, hopefully she can regain that on the second.
Hungary, Kovac with 160. Re-rack here. Saying she has to get the knees locked, and Kovac has been competing for 9 years, so she'll be all right, but this is where if you were 1 or 2 years in the game at the World Championships, why you want to take a weight that's light, that if you get your nerves rattled and you're running out of time, you can still hit it. Oh. Let's take a look at this one, Chris. Yeah, this is the side of the ref that gave it to her, so it looks, you know, around that line, but the hips don't rest totally aligned.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, that might have rattled her a little bit, that re-rack command, and she can come back out on the second. Like you said, I think it's right on the line, so won't need much more depth to convince the judges on the second.
Noemi Fanton of Italy, 175 for her opening squat. And we had success of 4 in a row, but can Fanton get us back on track after 2 misses back-to-back? And when you're at the World Championships already a little nervous, usually your opener eases your nerves. If you miss, the nerves just get ratcheted up another level. Looks good to me. What are you thinking?
Yeah, nice and quick. Depth look good from here. Yep, judges agree. Great looking opener.
Back on track. Team Italy has another lifter later on, the 63 kilo world champion Carola Gara, making her 69 kilo class debut. Shannon from Canada, 175. She's got the Canadian squat record. I'm familiar with her. She's very strong. See if, look at, full disclosure, obviously I'm Canadian, and when that happened, I looked to you for a reaction.
Yeah, look, I mean, when I watched it live, I definitely thought she might have cut it just a little bit too high. Yeah.
The weight looked easy, smooth. She's a veteran. She could retake that weight, right back in it, and then make that decision. Do we take our planned third or something in between? Daria of Ukraine, 177.5. And when that kind of thing happens, is when the coach has to tell you, it rarely goes as planned. This is fine. It's a little more anxious when it's your first.
But like you said, she's a veteran in the game, so I don't think that'll rattle her, and they may even choose to go up.
That was quick. 3 white lights. And then the second flight, 3 ladies didn't miss their opener. And I'm going to be honest, Chris, it's rare you have 3 misses on openers.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, a lot of them were on depth, so not for strength, which is often a positive thing. And sometimes now, just getting out there and just seeing the crowd and finding your mark that you're looking at, you know, you can come back out on the second, hit depth, and move on. So hopefully that's what we see.
Could be a character building experience. 137.5. Jessica opting to move up a relatively conservative 2.5 kilos. If I remember right, 135 though was work.
It was work. It definitely looked harder than she was expecting.
Yeah, and that's why. You know, I think they did a right move by 2.5 and still sending her out there. You want to get some experience at the World Championship, but do you keep sending her out again? I thought that was a little high, if I'm honest, and still around the line. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think based on the standard that we've been seeing so far in the session, I think that probably would have got reds for depth.
Would you send her out for a third, or?
I think this is where the lifter and the coach need to know each other and go, well, was it a misgroove? Did you feel something? And do you think you can grab that 2.5, or do you save it for deadlifts?
Yeah, because if a lifter's inexperienced, you don't want them to start having back-to-back failures and start getting a little rattled and nerved, or you just say, look, let's save it for bench. All is well. Laura from Switzerland, 142.5 for her second. Handles a 7.5 kilo jump rather well, and she's still 7.5 kilos below her personal best.
It looks like she's pacing well to maybe equal that PB today then, but great looking second attempt there.
Kira Collins of Belgium, 150 kilos, another 7.5 kilo jump. Will you just expect for a second, Chris?
Look, it's an interesting one. You could sort of look at that and say, well, maybe that was a fair bit of work. The hips shot up a little bit, but again, certain lifters just lift that way. Even some of the bigger names, Jess Bittner, etc., they have quite that sort of different looking squat pattern. So, look, I actually think probably comfortable for at least another 5 kilo jump there. Whilst the pattern was work, it wasn't that hard a squat for her, I don't think.
Now, we were hoping the same way would be called for the second attempts on some of these Group B lifters that miss their openers. And here we are, 157. Halua, Belgium. So that was probably depth. Judges agree at least 2-1. And it was probably harder than you think an opener would have been if that was going to be an opener and it happened there. As a second, that looked like an appropriate second attempt weight. So perhaps when she felt the weight on her back, she actually adjusted by cutting a bit of depth, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think it probably felt just that little bit heavier than she was expecting. She cuts it just that little bit shy. Certainly looked a lot better that time. And again, just depending on how she squats, she may have a bit more in the tank for a third, but if not, she's taken every kilo she could today, so good work.
Yeah, she's on the board nevertheless, and 160 for Kovacs. Kind of the same case, doesn't look like an opener, but she's on the board 2-1 as well. And sometimes there's reasons that you cut it on depth. You felt the weight on your back for all the various reasons we already said that you might not be at 100%. So you're a little shallow on depth, and now we're seeing, okay, you take it to depth. It moves like a second attempt. Australia, Ebony Gray, 162.5. Looks like Ebony didn't have to cut, is that right?
Yeah, she was actually running a bit light this morning, so she was able to get some food in, have a pretty relaxed morning, and still weight in quite light.
Calls it off. It looked like it started helicoptering just a little bit. Depth looks good. Oh, about halfway through and helicoptered on her a bit. A sticking point. Something like that, though, if you can maintain the bar path, can go a long way. Shannon, 175 for her second attempt. Missed this, it was depth, but it moved very well. She's hit 188 kilos, broken national records back home in Canada. Expecting her to right the ship and then have that discussion, the type of jump they want to make. going to be on the line again. Listen, again, honestly, that probably was on the line. She's got to sink it a little deeper. Take a look at this and let me know your thoughts, Chris.
Well, yeah, I think the opposite side hip to the one we can see sinks a lot deeper than this left hip. But to be honest, I thought that was probably deeper than the first.
I think so. I think she adjusted. She adjusts just a little bit more. She'll be fine. In the replay, it looked better than it was when I saw it live. Unfortunately, the refs on the platform are only seeing it live. They don't get a replay. And I thought it was borderline when it was live. Fanton, Italy, 182.5. The judge has overturned the Canadians' failed lift because they seen the replay. And the jury intervenes and Canada is on the board. And Fanton good with 182.5. Well, look at some people don't like too much of an act of jury intervening, but in this case, Canada's just fine with it.
Ryan, look, I think it's actually a really good call. We often see the jury intervene in the opposite direction, and so it's really good to see it actually put a lifter back onto the board. Because again, from the replay we both thought probably was deeper than the first and an acceptable lift. So good to see.
And yeah, I would echo that live, but the benefit of the replay, and that's when the jury can see, like, actually we had the slow-mo. It was in 185 for Daria of Ukraine. This is a personal best. A little bit of a slowdown halfway, but she seemed confident all the way through.
Yeah, very strong squatter, and I think we can see her probably take another 5 to 7.5 jump there on the third. A little bit of work towards the top. It stays forward really well, doesn't let the bar bully her around. Drives through.
As we enter the third round of squats, and despite some missed openers, missed seconds, everybody's on the board. Jessica Badago of Singapore, 137.5, missed this on her second. She's hit 145. Now that was back home, different circumstances. Nope. And that looked very, she's got to stay with the bar. That looked very similar to her second attempt.
Yeah, and I mean, as we talked about, it's one of those questions about, do you even come out for the third knowing if the strength is there? Maybe she felt like she just got out of position a little bit on her second and thought, let's try and take it again. But it's tough coming halfway across the world, and like so even just the food being different. You know, if you're used to eating a lot of rice and chicken, it's actually really hard to get here in Lithuania, and so just those little factors can make a massive difference in your recomp on the morning, and that can take massive numbers, particularly out of the squat. So
150 for Laura of Switzerland, and you're 100% right. Look at if this can happen to Ray Williams in the squat event, bombing out in Sweden 2019. Difference of travel and food, it can happen to anybody. Wow, that took some heart.
Undeniable depth. She does really well. Gets tipped just a little bit in the middle, but sticks with it.
And due to the way she's built, has to lean forward, but that's a strong back.
Absolutely.
Chiara Collins of Belgium, 155 for her third and final squat, 5 kilo jump. This will match a personal best should she hit this. But a personal best at Worlds hits a little bit different, doesn't it?
It'd be very nice.
pulled out of position, bar path a little wonky, and still just so strong she can battle through it.
Yeah, and amazing for her to walk away. PB on the world platform. As you said, just gets tipped a little bit there, but sticks with it. And is able just to get back in a position, lock it out. Amazing lift.
162.5 for Helou of Belgium. 2.5 kilos more than she's ever squatted. Another lifter that appears to not have had to cut, weighing in at 67.8 in the 69 kilo class. Oh, just a stitch too much on the day.
Yeah, she had to work. That first attempt, I think, took a lot of energy for her to recover. And then she had to take it again on the second. And those two attempts have taken a lot out of her. So,
you know, looking at the previous personal best, she also opened pretty close to that. And 162.5 for Ebony. Ebony, if you remember, on the second, same weight, looked like she might have got a bit pulled out of position. Bit of a helicopter motion on the right side, and if she could right that and stay in the pocket, keep the bar path, she might recover. She's hit more than this back home. She's capable. A little too much on the day.
yeah, and it's, you know, being that sort of a bit lighter in this weight category, if that wasn't what you were expecting on the day, that can have a massive impact in squats.
And I'll take a quick second here to thank our sponsors, Alico, whom supplies all of our platform equipment, SBD, supplying the kits to many of these nations, as well as Visit Malta. We were there last year for the World Championships, and it's a great travel destination. I encourage you to visit Malta. 167.5 for Kovacs of Hungary. Three white lights, and we have had an awful lot of misses here in the third attempts. We're used to seeing it at the World Championships. You're going to go all out, but there's a lot of factors here, as there always is with the Worlds in terms of travel, etc., but relatively short flights. Some of these lifters with less experience haven't felt this before. Now, Shannon from Canada, 175 was a miss for her opener on depth, retook it for a second, and briefly thought, oh my gosh, again, and thought she would have her back to the wall. Overruled by the jury in 182.5. Still a decent chunk under her personal best. Not entirely sure what to anticipate here.
Like I said, she's squatted more than this before at home, so let's see how she goes. And you never know, sometimes just that little bit extra weight on the back can actually help you get to depth.
That's around the same as the first two, so it's going to be a split decision. 2-1 it is in her favor. And let's see if the jury this time, they intervened last time in her favor. Yeah, it's always right around that line, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was probably the best of the three that she's done. Definitely one hit slightly higher than the other, but the other one I think definitely below the hip crease definitely goes below the top of the knee, so good lift.
And that one will stand 190 for Daria of Ukraine. 25 years old. She's a young lady. 14 years in the game. Powerlifting is definitely a popular sport in Ukraine, particularly in the equipped. But we are seeing more and more of the classic lifters, including Anatoly Novopismani. Oh, just a stitch too much. would have been a personal best. Not here on the day. And 190 kilos stays on the bar for Fanton of Italy. 7.5 kilo jump, just 0.5 kilos below her previous personal best. And judging by the 190.5, that at least at one point was a national record back home. See how many national records get taken with a monster like Carola Gara entering the class. Italy, a very strong team, particularly on the women's side.
Yeah, absolutely. Made some big jumps up over the last few years.
And what do you think about that attempt selection, Chris?
I don't know if there's an extra kilo there, to be honest, so I think that's a perfect weight selection for today. Obviously, she's below the record, so couldn't take a chip. So an extra 2.5, I think, might have tipped her over the edge. So, yeah, absolutely.
As we look at the squat standings, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is Group B, and we, of course, have the Group A later on today, and we are going to take a short 10-minute break. Please do rejoin us as we come back with the bench press event for the women's 69-kilo Group B. And welcome back to the 2024 IPF World Championships here live in Lithuania. I am Ryan Six-Pack Lapadat, accompanied in the booth with Chris Andrews. And Chris, we have the 69 kilo Group B class in the squat session. A little bit of drama, some lifters missing their openers, having to readjust. Even Shannon from Canada missing her second attempt. Jury intervenes, turns it onto the scoreboard, and we're rocking and rolling. Had some PRs flying, and there's been some drama. Let's see what to anticipate in the bench press, because of all of the lifts, it is the bench press that is probably the most technical. With infractions, you might see some failed lifts.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, one that the body weight and the recomp can impact significantly. We've also got the new Alico pad out here today that not many lifters have tried, and again, I know I shouldn't blame equipment, but the change from the charcoal pad to this new pad is quite significant, and it may throw some lifters.
You know, you're right. The saying is, don't blame the equipment. A poor technician blames his tools. However, even the elite of the elite, I won't drop names, have mentioned, well, when there's a change of equipment and you haven't worked on it, it's a factor. It's just another factor. And when there's an event as technical as the bench press, all these factors do add up, as Monisha of Singapore, 60 kilos for her opening bench. Look pretty smooth.
Nice easy opener there, and does well. Good bench, good elbow depth, no question there from the referees.
And it is the elbow depth, but sometimes we end up having some tough conversations. If you have all three white lights, the jury's not going to intervene, but one red, and they have the ability to do so. And now they're reviewing your bench, looking at slow-mo, checking out your elbow depth. And you never know how that's going to go. Jimbo of Japan, 65 kilos for opening bench.
Jimbo had a great session for squats.
Looking to carry a little bit of positive momentum. Kenan from Team Japan coaching her today. Easy work. Look, if you're going to take an easy opener, far easier than you normally do at home, it's here.
Yeah, it's really important just to get on the board, and particularly if you're a lifter who is right on the line for elbow depth, for example, you don't want to be pushing it with a weight that is slightly too heavy. If you just drop back that 2.5, 5 kilos, you can make it up later. If you're not on the board, you're not in the game, right?
Waniki of Qatar, 67.5 kilos. I suppose I don't have to tell you or Australia that, not to bring up old wounds, new wounds, my friend, but you got to be careful. Yim Chi Liang of Hong Kong, 67.5. No question on elbow depth there, sir.
No, and you'll notice there, nice. She's got a very narrow grip. Lifters are allowed to go all the way out so that their index finger is covering the rings that you can see on the bar, but she's opted for a quite narrow position, which means you'll end up with a lot of elbow travel.
Yim Chi Liang of Hong Kong, 67.5 kilos. Bit of a stutter there.
Yeah, thankfully the bar doesn't dip. I think she may have pressed right as the command got said, and I think she may have then hesitated just a little bit, like, oh, did I jump the command? But she recovers well and gets the lift, 3 white lights.
75 kilos for Schwartz of South Africa. Makes easy work of that. Relatively smooth sailing. Appropriate opening weights by all the national teams. And Chekarova, 77.5 for her opening bench. She's previously hit 80 kilos. We're a little close. She might have made some gains. For 2.5 kilos below personal best, that moved well.
Yeah, wow. She's obviously had a great run coming in. We should see her hopefully hit a PB there today. Again, always, we'll see a lot smaller jumps, obviously, in bench press than we do on the squat and the deadlift. And we may see just 2.5s to 5s.
87.5 for Cynthia Quiros of Chile. Yeah, particularly in the lighter women's weight divisions, 2.5 kilos is still a pretty big jump in bench press. That's why the failure rate can be rather high. It's just not a small enough jump for them at times.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much all the lifters today opening above body weight. So yeah, that jump is pretty significant.
Nicely done.
Yeah, that was a great looking opening attempt. Really nice bar path.
Speaking of a 2.5 kilo jump, Manisha Raja of Singapore, 62.5. This will equal her previous personal best. One thing you want to do as well, and it's a variable, is take a look at how the press commands are coming. Usually, you just got to get that bar on your chest motionless, but depends how quickly you can achieve that. You come down quick and you got to regain at the bottom. Come down slow and controlled. Wow, you're still going down slow and controlled. It's a negotiation of sorts. Yim Chi Liang of Hong Kong, 70 kilos. And all the ladies got their opening bench on. Three white lights, and she looks almost a little surprised.
Yeah, she's certainly happy with that one. Moved very well. And you see there, that's a great example of getting a really quick press command because she's able to get the bar stationary really fast on her chest. You'll get the command nice and quick.
Rina Jimbo of Japan, 70 kilos stays on the bar for her. Another successful lift. pretty high hit rate so far, even cleaner than the squat event. As 175 loaded for Waniki of Qatar, and a decent 7.5 kilo jump to equal her PR. Ah yes, Chris, this is the close grip bench press. Depth will not be an issue.
Well, for a big jump, she makes it move very well. And the close grip, bench press, a lot more effort from the triceps rather than the chest. And again, this is what's great about powerlifting. It's very inclusive. You can lift the bar pretty much however you want to lift the bar. So whatever works for you. Some people like to go as wide as possible. Some people like to go narrow.
80 kilos for Astrid Schwartz of South Africa. 2.5 kilos above her previous personal best. Three white lights.
And that was quite easy considering it's a new PB for her, so a little bit left in the tank for a third. Doesn't really slow at any point.
Asia Chakarova, 82.5, 5 kilo jump for her, 2.5 kilo personal best. As the sea of green continues to grow on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I don't think we've even seen a single red light yet, Ryan. So, great session so far.
Cameraman believes in the commentator's curse and truly believes, oh, there we go. Although, I'm going to be honest, Junior Worlds, it was an insane amount of hits, around 27, I'll say. And I kept resisting the temptation and saying, look, we haven't had a single miss, 27, that's insane. I've never seen this before. Eventually, I said it. In statistically impossible, I could pick that in the very next lift. What are the chances?
I think I remember saying that from my lounge room.
Kiros, 92.5, and we apologize in advance, Cynthia, if it's you. This is a 2.5 kilo personal best, should she hit this. Three whites, and it's good.
Yeah, beautiful second attempt there. She's a really strong bench presser. Looks really nice.
And we are already into the final round of benching for Flight 1. It's a pretty quick pace, 65 kilos for Manisha Raja of Singapore. 2.5 kilo jump, 2.5 kilo personal best. All right, that looked like an appropriate third to me.
Absolutely. She takes a 2.5 kilo PB there. Amazing to come out on the world stage and be able to grab a PB. Great work.
You can tell by the expression on her face as she exits the platform. When you're the coach, and you're not necessarily vying for medals or whatnot, but you did your job when your lifter had that kind of experience at the World Championships. Rina Jimbo from Japan, 72.5, 2.5 kilo jump, 2.5 kilo personal best. Oh my goodness, and I thought for a second, as I wait with bated breath, there's the 3 white lights. For a second we might have our first miss, but no. Continued positivity, and she had a sticking point there. It got a stitch dicey, didn't it, Chris?
Yeah, bar just paused for just a brief second, and in that scenario you can often get that little dip of the bar, but she does well just to stick with it and keeps the bar moving upwards. Great work.
Now a 7.5 kilo jump from her second attempt. Yim Chi Liang of Hong Kong. She opened with 67.5, only 2.5 kilo jump, huge jump after that, and a 7.5 kilo personal best. This is a stitch different than we're used to seeing. From the jumps to 7.5 kilo personal best, I'm interested. Yeah, I mean, was that a mistake, you think?
I was just thinking that, Ryan, did the 7 look like a 2 on the attempt card?
You know, and she's almost laughing as she leaves. Something happened there. Even beforehand, that seemed interesting. And it wasn't even close. I honestly think she was anticipating 2.5 kilo jump, and they typo or whatever. Well, I guess not typo if she's writing it. Poor handwriting, let's say that. Believe me, my handwriting's not great. You want someone else to write it for you if it's me handling. 80 kilos, Waniki, Qatar. 5 kilo jump, 5 kilo personal best. Judging by her second, I think this could be a reasonable last attempt. Wow, she wants it.
Three white lights. That was an amazing grind.
Yeah, this is right here. Slows almost an exact pause, but never gives right to the lockout. And outside of Liang, had a hiccup of an attempt selection. Pretty good calls by the national team. South Africa's Astrid Schwartz, 82.5, 2.5 kilo jump, 2.5 kilo personal best.
That's great weight selection there from Astrid and her coach. Definitely the exact right weight to put on the bar there for her third, and grabs the 2.5 kilo PB. And if I'm not mistaken, she took a PB on squats as well, so she's having a great day out so far.
Asia Chakarova, Bulgaria, 85 kilos. Another conservative 2.5 kilo jump. Also 2.5 kilo personal best. She took a 5 kilo jump from her opener. Nicely done.
Well, we're seeing some absolute amazing weight selections here in this third round of bench press today.
Yeah, all around the national teams making the appropriate calls outside of one hiccup. $95 kilos now. Cynthia Quiros of Chile coming into the competition. 92.5 was her personal best.
Slightly too heavy for her there on the day, but walks away with the 92.5, equaling her previous personal best.
And all in all, a decent bench session, a much higher hit rate than we saw in the squat event. So the ladies adjusting to the short flight, making the appropriate calls as we enter into flight 2 of Group B. We will begin once again with the openers. And Jessica left the squat event with just her opener. And let's see how she does in the bench press. She's previously hit 83 kilos, looking like it was a national record back home in Singapore. 72 and a half, nice and smooth.
Yeah, very easy opener there for Jessica, and that's exactly what you want to get. It's the 3 white lights. Again, very close grip lifter.
Yeah. No question on the elbow depth. Laura Reddig of Switzerland, 75 kilos for her opening bench. Wow. Extremely controlled descent and just flies off the chest.
Yeah, that's using a really explosive presser.
Look at that control. She's going to get that press command pretty quickly if they're looking for motionless.
Winds up the spring on the way down and then just explodes off the chest.
Kira Collins letting the spotters and loaders know where she wants the handoff, and that's important. Bar path is instrumental. You want the handoff where you want it, and that's why, nice and smooth.
Yeah, it's another one of those variables that you have to try and control in the day, and that's where you'll see a lot of lifters opt to not have a handout, just to try and eliminate that. And so really important that you actually practice explaining how you would like your handout in simple terms, because again, we travel across the world. Your handout person may not actually speak English as their first language, etc., or your home language. So
yeah, no time for a conversation. 85 kilos for Helu. Nicely done. Australia's Ebony Gray, 95 kilos. She's previously hit 97.5. And you can hear the Aussies in the crowd. A vocal bunch when they got a lifter on the platform. That was quick and smooth, Chris.
yeah, that's a great opening attempt for Ebony. She's got plenty more in the tank.
Shannon, 95 kilos. Missed her opener on squat. But all's well that ends well. Gets her third. Gets her second. Shouldn't be any doubt there.
3 white lights. Gets her on the board.
Daria, representing Ukraine, 105 kilos for opening bench.
And Daria Cook building quite a subtotal here already.
A 14-year veteran. Knows how to track her progress on bench press and have an appropriate opener. That was smooth, that was easy. Right on point. Fantin of Italy, 105 will stay on the bar for her. This is the second last bench of the openers. Blink, oh, I was about to say blink and you'll miss it, but let's take a look at this replay. 2-1, a bad lift on depth.
115 kilos on the bar for Atlanta Bosnia Kovacs Hungary. Bar is loaded.
Yeah, I guess it is a stitch high. What do you think, Chris?
I think it's one of those ones. It's probably right on the line, but yeah, given the standard that we've seen set this week, I think it's probably the appropriate call. Let's hope she can adjust it out the back, maybe sink a little or just reduce the arch a touch. She's not far off the money.
Aleta Razniakovac of Hungary, 115 kilos. Two to one, and it's another elbow depth call. That one live from the booth looked good. Let's see.
And interesting is from the two side judges.
Yeah, I guess in the replay, it looked like the same depth as the previous lifter who didn't get it, so there is a consistency here. The strike zone is established. And what do you do when you miss on depth?
Yes, for some people it might be quite easy. Maybe they can just come in a little bit with their fingers. They could maybe try to sink just a touch, maybe touch a little bit lower. But bench press is a tough one to adjust on the fly, particularly when you've only got 6 minutes between lifts.
Jessica 177.5 is good, and I'm going to agree with you. You know, there's small adjustments, but a complete retooling within 6 minutes. And if your lifter's a stitch rattled because it was their opener, that's a different thing if you're your second or your third. Let's see how it all plays out. Laura, Switzerland, 80 kilos, matching her previous personal best. A lot like her opener. A little slower, but
Next up, we have Jack Collins, 90 kilos. Barletta of Belgium. Bar is loaded.
yeah, one thing I'll say, the depth calls and the calls period for this bench session have been consistent. That's really what you ask for, is consistency, so you know what you need to hit. Obviously, the flight one, very few misses altogether. 90 kilos for Kiara Collins of Belgium.
Yeah, consistency definitely is the name of the game, and if everyone's getting marked on the same playing field, then it's a fair day, right? And I think that's what we're all looking for. Great press there.
90 kilos stays on the bar for Helu. Ebony Gray met on the platform with cheers from the crowd. 5 kilo jump, 2.5 kilo personal best. What do you think, Chris?
Well, she moves that very well. I think probably another 5 kilo jump there to a third. Putting her up somewhere around the 102 to 105 mark. Great work there from Ebony.
100 kilos stays on the bar for Shannon. So equal or personal best. Another smooth second attempt.
Yeah, it was great for a PB to equal that PB. So again, 2.5 to 5 kilo jump probably there for a third.
So Noemi Fanton of Italy, 105 kilos, missed this on her opener, and it was depth, not strength. However, as we discussed, trying to find depth, easier said than done if you got to change the way you bench. Doesn't look like a drastic change in hand position. That is deeper though. That definitely does look deeper, whatever she did. Judges agree 2-1, it's good enough.
I think she might have just tried to sink it just a touch on the chest.
Yeah, it's whatever it was, it did look better. In terms of the sinking option you had addressed, yeah, Chiara Bernardi, Alba Bolstrom, Megan Scanlon, we've seen it already. Some of these lifters adjusting to the elbow depth rule and really getting the most out of that sink.
Yeah, if you can get the timing down, it can be quite beneficial. But it's a tough technical move to learn how to do.
Yeah, it's not only a move to get by the elbow depth rule, but they actually get kilos out of it. 110 kilos for Daria. Nicely done.
One red light there for Daria, but good lift nonetheless.
And the jury staying out of it quite a bit in this session, letting the platform refs handle it. Aleta Razniakovac of Hungary, 115, and if she hits this, she's still in the lead with 2 flights of Group B. Still got a monster deadlift. Can she make the same adjustments? Oh. Just look, I see Fanton. I don't know if that got overturned. I'll have a discussion on that in a moment. And that looked good. 3 white lights, the judges agree, and the jury cannot intervene with 3 white lights. Oh, okay. You know, we are just looking at the scoreboard, and Fanton's second attempt was green as though it's good, and then turned for a brief moment red, and Team Italy had already upped her next attempt to 112.5. They're probably like, if you're gonna overturn that, please, before we jump 7.5 kilos. Playing with house money. But we're all on the board now. 80 kilos for Jessica Badago of Singapore.
She does well there. Little sticking point in the middle. Pushes through it quite nicely. Grabs the extra 2.5 kilos.
Laura looking for another 2.5 kilos as well, and a 2.5 kilo personal best.
I think might have moved a bit better than she expected that time. Certainly, I think it was easier than a second.
Kiara Collins from Belgium, 92.5, equaling her previous personal best. Looking to go 3 for 3 in the bench press event at IPF Worlds. Three white lights. .95 kilos now her weights. Hello, Belgium. What are you thinking, Chris?
Yeah, great weight selection there. 3 white lights. Does really well. Just you can see it get heavy. The chest sunk just a touch, but she's able to muscle through it.
Yeah, the pause, but not a down up. Good attempt selection. Got everything out of the lifter, and Shannon. A bit more of an exciting squat session maybe than she would have liked, but relatively smooth sailing in the bench press. Can she cruise to a personal best 102.5 kilos? She does it. 3 for 3 in the bench press.
And she's excited about that one.
Team Canada coaching staff getting the lifter back on track. Another lifter enjoying a much better bench session than squats. Ebony Gray of Australia. This also can be a personal best. A 5 kilo personal best, jumping up 5 kilos from her second attempt.
Yeah, and this could be big given Nationals was less than 12 weeks ago, so short turnaround.
Nicely done by Team Australia. 3 for 3. Regaining some positive momentum.
Yeah, very strong press there from Ebony. Does really well. And I'm sure she'll be absolutely stoked to take away the 5 kilo PB on that one.
Fanton, Mr. Opener on depth, rebounded in the second attempt, hitting 105. 112.5 for her third and last bench of the day. It's good. One call on depth. The jury has not been very active this afternoon.
They are watching the replays. Let's see if they get involved.
That one's kind of on the line, if I'm honest.
I think they're leaving it, which is great to see. Moved well.
Daria, 115 from Ukraine. 5 kilo jump from her second. 5 kilo personal best. With only one more bench to go. Two to one, it's good.
Yellow card infringement there. Could have been for a call, potentially.
Yeah.
And head positioning, etc. looked fine. So anyway, good lift nonetheless. Moved very well.
I'll let Rosnia Kovac of Hungary missed her opening bench, retook 115 for a second and got it. Now at 120, despite missing her opener, still going to be the biggest bencher of Group B. And we finish off the bench session with a 120 kilo bench and 3 white lights.
We will be back after a 10-minute break for deadlifts for group 1.
Yeah, great there. She adjusted for that depth miss on the first, and the next two lifts were perfect.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, will conclude the bench session for Group B 69 kilo class. We are going to take a short 10-minute break. Please do join us then for the deadlifts. And welcome back to the 2024 IPF World Championships here live in Lithuania. I am Ryan Six-Pack Lapidat, accompanied in the booth with Chris Andrews. And Chris, we've had an exciting 69 kilo Group B, some miss openers, some bouncing back. Nobody has bombed thus far, and as soon as these young ladies hit their opening deadlifts, their totals will be secure. And as we take a peek at where it stands right now, Fanton of Italy with 302.5. As soon as these openers hit, Fanton will be at 502.5. Not a bad total after her opener. And Jimbo of Japan on the board with 125. $142.5 for Astrid Schwartz of South Africa. Nicely done, and I'll take a quick shout out to our sponsors, Alico, who has provided all of the equipment you see on the platform today and every day at these IPF World Championships, as well as SBD, who's sponsoring many of the national teams and individual athletes. You will see their singlets, wrist wraps, belts on the platform during these championships. And Visit Malta. Had a chance to spend some time in Malta last year, and if you have any vacation days left over for this summer, I encourage you to visit Malta. 142.5 for Asia Shakarova of Bulgaria. Easily clinching her total there, and once they get their totals, they have an opportunity to make some jump and just pile on the kilos, but until then, it's always a good idea just to solidify that.
Yeah, and deadlift, the least technical of the three lifts, and so we don't often see a lot of infringements, but you still don't want to come out too heavy.
Another factor that's in play, and 145 here for Quiros from Chile, is if you have any records, and I realize we haven't seen any world records in this Group E, but you got to keep in mind a lot of these ladies are breaking national records, and all records only stand if you could solidify a total. Disaster does strike. We've been at the World Championships before where some people have broken world records in the squat only to bomb out in bench or deadlifts, and it is heartbreaking where you're on top of the world 1 minute, a few moments later on same championship, you're disqualified. Yim Chi Liang of Hong Kong, 145. Opening with her personal best. That was a stitch slow, huh, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, that was work. See on the replay if she potentially was misgroove or whether it's just a bit heavier than she expected.
It just looked a little slow. It wasn't completely against her body. I'm not sure. On the surface, doesn't look like she's going to have a lot of kilos left in her. But we'll see. 155 for Waniki of Qatar. Quite a bit more speed there.
Does well, 3 white lights.
In the squat event, the speed in which Flight 1 was moving with only 7 lifters looked like it took a bit of a toll by the time we got to the third round. Bench press. Speed won't be as much of a factor. A lot of people can bounce back from a bench press a lot quicker than a big squat or deadlift. Just doesn't impact the central nervous system the same. The weight's quite a bit less. But the deadlifts, I think that factor might pop back up again. 160 for Monisha Raja. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, it moved really well. Just got a one red light there with the yellow card infringement. See if we see anything on the replay.
That looked pretty clean to me.
Yeah, and I mean, yellow card can be for calls. Maybe one of the refs thought she just jumped the down command slightly. But
Yeah.
good lift nonetheless. And I think, like you said, Ryan, it's not always just the physical impact of the 6-minute turnaround, but that central nervous system load and having to recover from that can be quite tough, particularly in the deadlift.
Yeah, we'll see once these ladies are forced to rev the engine, because we are already in the second round of polls. Reina Jimbo of Japan, 140, 15 kilo jump. Still pretty smooth.
Yeah, to be honest, probably faster than her opener. Just got the nerves out of the tank by the look of it on the first, and very nice second there.
Yim Chi Liang of Hong Kong, 150 kilos. Liang opened with her personal best 145, opting to move up 5 kilos from there. Taking a bit of time to come out. She does have 1 minute. And I believe, was it her who had a rather slow opener?
Yeah, it was. First was definitely a lot of work. Let's see how this one goes. If there's a bit of a misgroove.
Not sure what happened. Obviously, opening with your personal best can be a dicey proposition. Usually the warm-ups will be a bit of an indication. But they did secure that opening pole. Her total is going to stand in 152.5 for Cynthia Quiros. Lets out a big sigh at the bottom after that one. She got it, but judging by body language, might have been a stitch tougher than she thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you just see it get hung up there on the right thigh as the hand comes across. But she manages to get the hips through, so good lift nonetheless.
Asia Chakarova of Bulgaria, 152.5. This is uncharted waters for Chakarova. Moved pretty good for a second attempt. She definitely looks happy.
Yeah, so it's already 2.5 kilos, 2.5 kilo personal best. I think she's got plenty more in the tank there. Nice and patient off the floor. Springs quite fast to lock out.
Schwarz, 155 for her second attempt. 12.5 kilo jump for the South African. Nicely done. And so far, the ladies handling the bristling pace of a short 7-lady flight. And I'll tell you when things get interesting if one of the lifters drop out, and judging by how Liang's second attempt went. Now she has 150 loaded, so the spotters and loaders and the time clock will tick down even if she doesn't come out. When you only have 7 lifters and one of them drops out, that is very difficult. 162.5 for Waniki, and nice smooth second attempt.
Plenty more in the tank for her third. But yeah, it's an interesting, a point there, Ryan. I mean, even things like having to run into the toilet between attempts, things like that. When these flights are so short, we could see lifters having to run to the platform. So it's gonna be interesting to watch.
Very little adjustment can be made once the action starts up, as 172.5 is being loaded for Manisha Raja of Singapore. This is up. Gonna match her previous personal best in only her second attempt.
She has to work for it. She gets 2-1. Blue card there from one of the refs. Slow off the floor, but sumo can often be quite slow off the floor. Sticks with it. And yeah, I think maybe the bar just paused there for a second. Might have caused that little blue card. Maybe a slight dip. But good lift nonetheless.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I seen a dip, I seen a pause, but nevertheless, it passes. However, the question is, when it's that difficult of a pull, how many more kilos does she have? Maybe proceed with caution in at 2.5, 147.5 for Jimbo of Japan. 7.5 kilo jump. Stapled to the floor. And this is possibly the fatigue factor starting to kick in.
Yeah, this turnaround is extremely tough. If you're going to take a break between lifts in the gym, deadlift is the one. I mean, particularly, I know for myself, I take quite a long time between deadlifts again, just to recharge that CNS and get hype back up. So this is very tough for this flight.
150. Once again for Yimchi Liang. Couldn't manage much movement in the second attempt. Coming out for a third. And again, a little too much.
Takes her opener away at least, and so she's on the board. Gets a total.
Yeah, almost when you're dealing with a flight this small, you want to open very light, and also a relatively light second. Then, of course, if you miss your third, your total is quite a bit lower than you would like, so it's a give and take.
Yeah, this is where the art of game day coaching and handling comes into play.
Cynthia Quiros of Chile, 157.5. It's untidy, but it looks like she gets it all the way up. Let's see what the judges say.
Did she manage to keep the thighs from sliding under? No,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
unfortunately not. So take a look at the replay here. It was a moral victory for sure. You don't see, actually, we're going to miss a lot of the struggle over the thighs. There might have been down up, there might have been assistance by the legs, but talk about a moral victory. And we have yet to have a lifter hit their third, although Asia Chakarova managed 152.5 relatively convincingly. 5 more kilos, I think, is a reasonable third attempt. And there it is, reliable. I had a feeling.
Yeah, that's a great third deadlift. You notice she just stays really patient with it on the floor. It's going to take some time to break, but once it does, she's able to get it lock out really efficiently. It's a great looking sumo deadlift.
Yeah, a 9-year veteran of the game, might have seen some quick flights before and made the proper adjustments to keep herself on track. 162.5 for Astrid Schwartz of South Africa. 7.5 kilo jump, 2.5 kilo personal best.
Unfortunately, just a touch too heavy for her there. Lets the knees come back. Weight gets a bit far behind the bar. She's just unable to keep grinding it out. Amazing effort, gets it to the knee.
$170 kilos for Waniki of Qatar. Pretty smooth final attempt.
And that was a 7.5 kilo PB there. Does amazingly well.
$182.5 kilos. We're into the 400 pounds now. Monisha Raja of Singapore.
Takes her time just to lock in that foot position.
A little too much. And on a quick pace, we have 2 lifters only so far hitting their final pulls. As we move directly into the second flight of Group B 69 kilo class, starting back up at our openers. And 155 kilos being loaded for Jessica Badago of Singapore. Just 1 year competing, already finds herself at the IPF World Championships.
No problems there. Gets the 3 white lights. And just 7.5 kilos below her personal best, so pacing well towards a PB for today if she can continue.
And speaking of pacing, with a couple more lifters in flight too, might see a couple more successful attempts come the 3rd round. But these young ladies are going to push themselves to the limit. Aleta Kovac, 162.5, representing Hungary.
Does well there. Bar moves extremely quickly to lockout and almost pulls her forward at the top, but she is able to catch it. Hits the 3 white lights. Great lift.
$167.5 for Halou of Belgium. Total secure, and she's able to mitigate that speed wobble at the top, which is one of the cons of the sumo pull. Sometimes it's so fast on your opener, there's that yoink forward, just a stitch, not enough for the bar to go up down. Probably enough to give a slight bolt of anxiety to her though.
Absolutely.
Shannon, 175 for her opening pull. In a lot of ways, the first squat can be the most anxiety-filled. Shannon missed that one actually, but rebounded nicely, the veteran she is. But the second most anxiety-filled might be the opening deadlift, because this is the one to secure your total. No question there.
Nice and fast. 3 white lights. Secures that total.
Laura, 175 kilos, representing Switzerland.
Easy opening attempt there. 3 white lights.
Kiara, 177.5. She's previously pulled 190 kilos. We're well below that. This should move. Relatively safe opener.
Yeah, and again, just with these really quick flight times, could be a good move just to drop those openers a little bit.
Ebony Gray, 180 kilos. Locks that out.
Yeah, it doesn't give her any trouble there. 15 kilos below her current PB. So see what she goes for a second.
Daria of the Ukraine, 185 kilos for her opening pull. Previously, she's hit 200 kilos.
She's been having a great day so far. Pacing towards a 485 once she hits this. Moves quite well for Daria.
Phantom of Italy, 200 kilos even. Once she hits this, every single one of our 69 kilo Group B lifters will have solidified their totals. And she's hit 212.5. It shouldn't be any major ask. It'll also give her a 502.5 kilo total already. A respectable total in the Group B of the 69 kilo class.
It looks like we'll have a couple of lifters in the B group starting to push up around or above that 500 kilo total, which is a pretty big milestone in the under 69 kilo class.
Round two, Jessica will kick us off with 162.5 kilos. Going to equal her previous personal best.
Jessica handles that 7.5 kilo jump quite well. Slows a little compared to the opener, but what would you expect from a second attempt? A little bit of room left there for a third.
Yeah, you can never underestimate what a little bit of intensity on a third attempt can do for you in terms of a rise from the second. Some lifters find that other gear. Aletta attempting 172.5 for her second attempt. Nice 10 kilo jump. So equal her personal best. Stitch of a slow down to the top, but moved pretty well.
Yeah, and I think, particularly with the sumo lifters, you've got to look at that pace off the floor, and this one seemed to move still quite quickly. Little hesitation there, but she's got room in the tank for the third for sure.
175 for Halou of Belgium.
Just 2.5 kilos below her PB. There's a little bit of work for her, but locks it in, gets the 3 white lights.
$185 kilos being loaded now for Kiera. Locks it out.
She moves it quite quickly from the floor. Just takes a little bit of work to get the shoulders back, but does well. She
You're looking to pace up around the 190, which is a current PB on a third.
I was just about to ask where you think that third would be. I'd agree with that. And Shannon taking a 10-kilo jump to land right smack dab equal with her previous personal best.
Well, if that was her previous personal best. She's obviously had a great prep.
I was just about to say, deadlifts have been moving well in preparation for this. I'd be comfortable with another 5 kilos.
Yeah, I think 5 kilos is a safe move. She may even look to push another 7.5 if depending on how she's feeling. But
Speaking of a 7.5 kilo jump, Ebony Gray, 187.5. It slows, but never really in doubt.
yeah, tough one to call. I think we're about 7.5 below her previous personal best. I think 195 is what she's hit in the past. It's always tough to call with sumo. You never quite know. You know, again, everyone's pace is different. So let's see what she comes out for the third.
I would, from 5 to 7.5, depending on the conversation they have. Again, when it's your third and you ratchet up the intensity, you never know. Miracles can happen. 187.5 for Laura.
Well, and that was a 12.5 kilo jump there, and she handles it well. Again, slows a touch, but it's what we expect on the second. Bit of room in the tank there for her third. Just lets the knees lock potentially a touch early, and that makes it a little bit harder than it could have been, but does well.
192.5 for Daria. Respectable 7.5 kilo jump, operating 7.5 kilo below her personal best.
Yeah, moves out well, grabs the 3 white lights, and she's having a great day out. And pretty amazing to see someone who's just 25 years old who's been competing for 14 years.
When you started off in the single digits, powerlifting is all she knows, really. And here is a sizable second attempt, 210 kilos for Fanton, who's really establishing herself in the Group B. This will put her total up to 512.5.
That's a very respectable total, and might, depending on who's in this A flight tonight, may place her reasonably high up the leaderboard.
At 24 years old, competing 4 years. Give her some time to grow.
And like I said, we've seen some great performances from the Italians this week, particularly in the female divisions.
Yeah, 63 kilo stars Sarah Naldi and Kira Bernardi, both ending up on the podium. Alessandro in the 57s.
And that's a great looking second attempt there for Noemi.
And perhaps the biggest star in Italy, regardless whether you're speaking of men's or women's division, later on tonight, and you don't want to miss it, as 63 kilo world champion Carola Gara moves into the 69 kilo class to threaten reigning world champion and arch rival Leah Bavois France, as well as an extremely strong supporting cast from the rest of the world. It's going to be some very close action, expecting changes of momentum right to the very last deadlift. And 170 kilos for Jessica Badago of Singapore. Final round of deadlifts.
Well, it makes her work for it, but she does well. 3 white lights. Locks in the 170 kilos for her third. Yeah, and I think that battle tonight will be absolutely incredible. Obviously, Leah with the huge squat. Carola will come back in the bench press, one of the best female bench presses in the world, and then it'll all come down to those deadlifts in the end.
It is oh so close. Just 2.5 kilos separated those ladies back at Sheffield, and here we are tonight. 180 though for Halou of Belgium. 2.5 kilo personal best. Should she hit it? 5 kilo jump from a second. Too much on the day.
Well, she's done great today to recover. She obviously missed that first squat, but she's come back well and locks in a very respectable total.
Aletta, 182.5 for her third and final pull. Came into the competition 172.5 being her heaviest pull, and we are well beyond that. Oh, and I think there might have been a down up. I say this hushly because the refs are close, but they see what I see, and I gotta agree.
And she does well. Just gets stuck on that quad.
Right
yeah,
there.
just that little dip there.
Does well to lock it out, though. A moral victory, if there is one, at the World Championships. And 190 awaits Kiara. This will match her previous personal best.
It's an amazing fight. Just can't get it past the knee today.
These ladies pushing themselves. We are 3 for 7 in the final round of deadlifts. And we're used to seeing this. When it comes to the IPF World Championships, you put it all on the line, especially in the last pull of the day. No sense going home with a little bit extra kilos on the flight saying, I think I had 5 more kilos.
That's it. I mean, you never know, right, what could happen. Whether you're going to be back here again, whether
Yeah.
you're not, you got to leave it all on the platform.
You go back to nationals and you got to fight all over again just to make a national team. Absolutely right. So 190 kilos for a personal best for Shannon.
It looks good from here.
2 to 1. And Shannon ends with a nice PR in both bench and deadlifts at 475 for her total.
After a shaky start on the squats, she's done really well. Come back out, grab as many kilos as she could.
Yeah, missed her opener, but never missed another lift after that, showing poise. And same with Ebony Gray of Australia. Rebounded nicely in the bench press. Deadlifts so far 2 for 2 with 192 loaded for a final pull. It's too much.
Yeah, not quite there today. The second did look a bit tough. I was a bit unsure about how much extra we'd have in the tank there for the third, but she's had a great day out at the first World Championships.
$195 now, being loaded for Laura, who hit 187.5, and back home, previous personal best, 193. That looks like a national record back in Switzerland. Could this be another national record? Oh, it's a fight to the knees, Chris, but wow. And that is some heart. Oh, just at the lockout. What a valiant effort, though.
Yeah, she did really well there. She kept the thighs from sliding under the bar. You could see they wanted to, but she hesitates and keeps them out from under. In the end, after 10 or 15 seconds of pulling, the grip finally just gives out.
What a shame, and you're right, she fought so hard to not make any infractions while moving at a snail's pace, and just that lockout comes out of her hands. Daria, 200 kilos even. She's hit this before. Can she hit it again at the IPF World Championships?
And if successful, this will take it to 500 kilos for her total.
Nice round 500 to end the day off. That looks good from my angle. Judges agree.
Locks it in, takes away 500 kilo total. Daria had a great day out. She looked really good in all three lifts.
$217.5 kilos being loaded for Noemi Fantin of Italy. This will give her a total of 520 kilos, very respectable in the 69 kilo class. Has a nice lead in Group B. Oh, just a little too much on the day.
But definitely a rising star to keep an eye on for the future. Ryan at 24 years of age. Locks in a 512 kilo total. Good day out for Noemi.
And that will conclude the women's 69 kilo Group B class. And I want to give a reminder, today on the primetime session, we have the 69 kilo Group A women's were reigning world champion. Leah Bavois will defend her title against reigning world champion Carola Gara. It is champion versus champion in this super showdown, and the rest of the cast underneath them so close, battling it out for a podium position and a shot at the World Games, as well as the heavily hyped and eagerly anticipated 93 kilo class, where Gustav Hedlund, coming off his recent win at Sheffield, will take on a star-studded cast like USA's Brandon Petrie, Bulgaria's Emil Krastev, and of course, the sleeper slash dark horse of the division, Carlos, who was an emerging contender within the last year. You do not want to miss that action. We will see you then. Signing off, Ryan Six-Pack Lapidat and Chris Andrews.